What's up, my Century Units? It's the Century Man here, so back again with another WCW pay-per-view review. So we're going into the NWA slash GCP side of WCW in those 1980s. I'm going to review one more Great American Bash before the month is out. So I'm going to review the first Great American Bash on pay-per-view from 1988 at the Baltimore Arena. Right now it's called the Royal Farms Arena in Baltimore, Maryland on the 10th of July, 1988. The attendance of the show was 14,000. The first Great American Bash on pay-per-view received about 190,000 pay-per-view buys. Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone on commentary. This is the fourth annual Great American Bash in the company's history, but the first one on pay-per-view. And this is the last event produced by Jim Crockett Promotions before they got bought by Ted Turner and was it Turner Broadcast System. And they end up GCP become WCW, and the rest is history. They were competing with the WWF in those 1980s before the era of the Monday Night Wars in those mid to late 1990s. GCP was in financial trouble. Money issues, nearly went out of business before 2001. I don't want to get in details about it, look it up on the internet, but this is the last they produced before, Ted Turner took over, and then glimpses what things to come for that company for the next, you can say 10 to 13 years before the company went under in 2001, so... it was financial, financial issues. GCP been around since I think it was around the mid-40s. Like I said, in the 80s, they have financial problems. They were competing with the WWF because they were doing the Clash of the Champion shows. It was basically like a pay-per-view war instead of doing, this is like years before they did the ratings war in those 1990s. So, anyway, the Great American Bash will become WCW's annual event, and then they continue to do this until the end of the company's existence. The last one was in 2000. Go and check out my review of that. That was 2 years ago. That really broke me. So, anyway, the tagline for the show is called "The Price for Freedom." Some of these taglines in pro wrestling pay-per-views, they don't really make sense. It's just what it is. A typo, price of freedom, I don't know. Anyway, so the first match to kick off the 1988 Great American Bash. By the way, the other three bashes in the company's history were closed circuit television events. This one is the first one on pay-per-view. I think it's the first of 12, because the last one was in the year 2000. Anyway, so the first match to kick off the 1988 Great American Bash. This is for the NWA Tag Team Championships. The two members of the Four Horsemen, that is Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, with J.J. Dillon in the corner, defending the belts against Sting and Nikita Koloff. This is their second reign as the NWA Tag Team Champions. They dropped the belts to, I think it was Luger and Wyndham at the first Clash, but they end up regaining the belts a month later. Sting and Nikita Koloff, they end up feuding in 1991. They were teaming up for whatever reason. This is Head Cheese booking, by the way. I in my previous reviews, pay-per-view reviews, in whether it's WWE or WCW, I used the phrase Head Cheese tag team. Head Cheese, that was a tag team in the Attitude Era in the 2000s. That was Al Snow and Steve Blackman. And basically, you just put guys with different gimmicks pairing up for no reason. Sting was over, because he got that exposure, when he fought Ric Flair in the first main event at the first Clash for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. The fans were really into this match. I really liked this match. It was action-packed, good technical style wrestling. The match ended in a time limit draw. Sting locking Blanchard with the Scorpion Deathlock. You fought Sting and Nikita Koloff won the tag team titles, but they didn't win the tag team titles on the show. Yeah, it was a time limit draw. Uh, uh, almost say it's Wyndham, but Blanchard and Arn Anderson retained the NWA Tag Team Championships. And yeah, this is sadly Wyndham. I keep saying Wyndham. This is sadly Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard's last pay-per-view match for the company. They end up dropping the tag team titles to the Midnight Express in September. They end up going to the WWF. I think it was in late 1988. They become the Brainbusters and went on to win the WWF tag team titles. I think it was in 1989. I think the highlight match in their only run in the WWF was against the Hart Foundation at SummerSlam '89. Go and check it out. My review of SummerSlam '89. So, Blanchard I don't think he made his return. I know Arn Anderson returned to the company in the 1990. But Blanchard, didn't really make his return to the company. Arn did, part of the many versions of the Four Horsemen, and part of the Dangerous Alliance. But yeah, he never made his return. Tully Blanchard, I think this was the beginning of the end of the most successful Horseman, most successful version of the Horseman. That was a Flair, Anderson, Blanchard, Wyndham, J.J. Dillon. The other versions going with Chris Benoit was not on the same level. So that's my spiel on it. So, but besides that, it started the it started the time limit draw. I think this was a good match to kick off the pay-per-view. So the next match, this is for the United States Tag Team Championships. We got the Fantastics. That is, I'm gonna butcher these dudes' name. Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers defending the belts against the Midnight Express. That is Stan Lane and the late Bobby Eaton, with Jim Cornette in a straitjacket and on top of a shark cage. If the Fantastics retain the tag team titles on the show, Jim Cornette must receive 10 whips. So yeah, Jim Cornette was funny. You got people like the referees trying to put Cornette strapped into the straitjacket. Jim Cornette just shout. I think he said to the referee, "Can I bribe you? I'm afraid of heights." He doesn't really like to go in the shark cage, but besides that, the match is good. I really like this match. This is by the way, this is 4 championship matches on the show, and the show was only short, by the way. Only was it 5 matches on the show? It was a 2.5 hour pay-per-view, and this is the only match with a title change. In the end, I think it was Bobby Eaton hit I think it was Rogers or Fulton with a chain to win this match and become the new United States Tag Team Champions. I think they had a match at the first Clash. It's been a long time since I reviewed those Clash of the Champion shows. I'm trying to get back on track. I'm trying to review some Clash of the Champion shows in the future. It's been a long time. I'm trying to get back on reviewing some Clashes and ECW shows. Start reviewing some TNA shows and the Impact Monthly event shows. Try to get back on track. The whole bulk of 2022, which is classic WWE pay-per-views and current WWE pay-per-views, AEW pay-per-views. Yes, I reviewed Revolution, by the way, and some superhero content. Whether it's Marvel, Disney Plus shows and my reviews of Titans. So anyway, let's get back on track reviewing the pay-per-view. So yeah, it was a good match, not on the same level as the opener, but it was a good match. Anyway, so, the Fantastics were acting like sore losers, whipping Jim Cornette with the chain, and that was it. So, and like I said, the Midnight Express went on to win the NWA Tag Team Championships in September, and then that was, and Anderson and Blanchard went on to go to the World Wrestling Federation. Moving on to this is the worst match of the night for me. This is a Tower of Doom match. This is a 10-man Tower of Doom match. So the 5 tag teams, the 5 men in this match. So, or 10 men in this match. So we got the Road Warriors, we got Jimmy Garvin, we got the former NWA World Champion Ronnie Garvin, and Dr. Deb Steve Williams taking on Al Perez. We got Mike Rotunda and Kevin Sullivan represent the Varsity Club, Ivan Koloff, and the Russian Assassin, that is David Sheldon under a mask. So basically the goal is the first team escape the cage wins. I'm guessing trying to be like another ultimate version of War Games. Every time I watch a steel cage match in the company's existence, whether it's every match ends, any cage match ends with horror, doom, doomsday, and there'll be a disaster. This not that good. At least it was way a bit better than the Chamber of Horrors match at Halloween Havoc 91 and the Doomsday Cage match at Uncensored 96, but that's not saying too much. 20 minutes long, it was boring. It was absolutely boring. I was completely tuned out. This was a feud between Kevin Sullivan and Jimmy Garvin, who at the time was a single star. No, I don't want to call it a single star, but a singles guy. Before, because at this moment in time, the Freebirds are no more. Yeah, they got reunited in later years, but this just, like I said, boring as fuck. The ending was a bit compelling with the stuff with Kevin Sullivan and Jimmy Garvin about Miss Precious. Like I said, the winning team escape the cage. They start out on the top of the cage. You have to work way down towards the ring, and then you have to skip the cage to win. In the end, the Garvins, actually they're not really brothers, by the way. Jimmy Garvin, Ronnie Garvin, Dr. Death, and the Road Warriors got the victory. Yeah, this was, like I said, I'm glad it's the only one they did in the company's existence. I don't think they did another one. They did an ultimate version of it, like great example at the final Slamboree in the year 2000, but that was a freeway match. That was a freeway, but besides that, I think this match. This is better off being a War Games match. If it was a War Games match, I think they'll benefit more. This was just like boring. You cannot do anything. It's basically the wrestlers are severely handcuffed. Severely handcuffed. You can't really do any moves. It's just basically, on the first two cells of the cage, it's basically just punch, like a body slam. That's it. So let's move on to the next match. So the next match, this is for the United States Championship. Barry Windham with J.J. Dillon in his corner, taking on the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. So Dusty Rhodes was the United States champion, won the title at Starrcade, the first Starrcade on pay-per-view in the previous year, 1987, but he was stripped of the United States title because he attacked the promoter, Jim Crockett. So Barry Windham won he won a tournament to win the United States title. So there were basically the announcers, Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone, brought that they were best friends, close friends, whatever. I think at this moment in time, Barry Windham was part of the Four Horsemen, and this was the beginning, the end of the Horsemen, because, like I said, Anderson and Blanchard went on to leave the company to go to the World Wrestling Federation. The match was good. It wasn't great. I don't know. It was a bit boring. I watched it 2 or 3 times. Preparation for this review. It was a bit, because the whole bulk of the match you had basically Windham trying to lock in the claw of Dusty Rhodes. Dusty trying to fight off the claw attempts by Barry Windham. The fans were like pop. They kind of cheered when Dusty hit the bionic elbow onto J.J. Dillon. He got involved. I'm not saying it didn't really bother me in the matches. I get he's part of the helping the Horsemen win. Didn't really bother me in this show. But the ending was a bit not nonsensical, but out of nowhere. I'll get to that more shortly. So the match was good, wasn't great. In the end, you had Ron Garvin who just competed in that Tower of Doom match. Cheap shot, Dusty Rhodes, and Wyndham locked in the claw onto the unconscious Dusty Rhodes. Referee did a 3 count. Yeah, proclaimed that Dusty Rhodes passed out of the claw by Barry Windham, but in reality, Ronnie Garvin cheap shot him, hit him with a right hand. And Windham won this match to retain the United States title. He hold on to the belt until dropping it to Lex Luger at the one and only Chi-Town Rumble the following year in 1989. So out of nowhere, and then afterwards you had I think you had Gary Hart and J.J. Dillon giving Ronnie Garvin the money. I think they were leading up. I think they were focused. I think the original plan, or not original plan, but I think they were going for a Dusty Rhodes Ronnie Garvin rivalry. But unfortunately, it didn't happen because Ronnie Garvin left the company the following month in August and ended up going to the WWF. This was Dusty Rhodes' second to last pay-per-view appearance before leaving to the WWF in, was it late 88? I think he debuted in early 89. He came back to the company in, 1991 as the booker of WCW. That's another story for another time. I said it in my review of Super Bowl 1. Go and check it out on the playlist. So moving on to the main event. The main event, this is for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Ric Flair defending the belt against Lex Luger. Luger was part of the Four Horsemen, but unfortunately left the group. I think it was at the first or two clash, you had the Horsemen beat down Luger. Luger was teaming up with Barry Windham, defeat Anderson and Blanchard for the NWA World Tag Team Championships. Then they dropped the titles back to the Horsemen. So yeah, he's kind of like he was held back. The fans were really getting behind Luger. You thought he was going to defeat Ric Flair for the world title. The match, you can call it match of the night. I don't know. You can say match of the night. This was a really good match. I don't know if it's the only time they fought one-on-one between Luger and Flair. I think they had matches before this in the WCW era, but in those 90s and 2000s, before the company went under. I'm not too sure. Yeah, they never fought in the WWF, when they were in the company, because Luger, it's funny, by the time Luger debuted in the company, Flair left the company to go back to WCW. Anyway, the match was good. Flair, typical heel Flair-ish. You watch Ric Flair's matches, whether it's in the 80s, 90s, his run in the WWE in those early to mid, in the 2000s, including his few matches in TNA in the 2010s. He does as a heel, he ended up doing the Cowley stuff. He always does the eye pokes, the low blows, whatever. Yeah, he ended up in the bottom. Yeah, he worked on the leg of Lex Luger. But the match was really good. The ending was a bit bullshitty. You had J.J. Dillon kind of send Lex Luger head first into the ring post. Luger bled. It's similar to the opener, by the way. Luger locked in the torture rack, put in the torture rack onto Ric Flair. You thought Luger won this match to win the world title, but unfortunately, I don't know. At least with Flair, at least with the tag team title match from the opener, that was ending a title minute draw. This match wasn't. Basically, Luger lost so many blood. That was a bullshit. You had Sting, you had Dr. Death coming out, celebrating with Luger. You thought he won the world title. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So basically the decision was reversed. Flair retained the World Heavyweight Championship. They had a rematch at Starrcade, the end of the year. Flair went on to retain the title, and then he ended up dropping the world title to Ricky Steamboat. That's another story for another time. So, Luger went on to win his first world title at the Great American Bash 3 years later in 1991. Maybe at the time, maybe Luger was not ready yet. Maybe they see more. Maybe they want Flair as the world champion much longer. I don't know. It's basically letting the fans leave a little bit disappointed. Not completely disappointed, but slightly disappointed. So it's just what it is. So my final rating for the first Great American Bash on pay-per-view from the year of 1988. I'm gonna give it I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I almost give it a 9, but looking back, actually not looking back, this is before my time, but almost giving it, I thought it was gonna be a 10 out of 10, but I give it 8 out of 10. This was a strong show. The only match in the bad for me has to be the Town Do match. I don't want to get into it. But yeah, some bogus finishes kind of put down the championship matches down. Like the opener was fine. I think with like Luger not winning the title, you know, that was a bit bullshit. But like besides that, you know, the championship matches on the show were good. You know, from top to bottom. You know, I like the NWA tag team titles match, the United States tag team title match. I kind of like the Rhodes versus Wyndham, the United States title match, and also Flair versus Luger. Instead of the ending, but yeah, this was a good show. You know, like I don't know. I don't really call it the best Great American Bash. You know, I don't know. I haven't seen I saw most of the Great American Bash shows, but not all of them. But this has got to be in the top 5. You know, there's been like 15. You know, starting in 1986, and the last one under the NWA WCW banner was in the year 2000. So it's way better. It's better than what WWE is producing, those Great American Bash in those 2000s. Shit. But anyway, so yeah, I recommend you watch the 1988 Great American Bash. So anyway, so I hope you enjoyed my review of the 1988 Great American Bash. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Smash the like button, click the bell, subscribe to the Central Man Network on YouTube, be part of the Central Unit for more wrestling videos and more. Next time, so for the month of August, I'm going to review some summer theme pay-per-views. So yeah, because SummerSlam is this weekend. You know that's another topic for another time. But yeah, I'm going to review some summer themed pay-per-views because we're still in the middle of the summer. So the next time I'm going to review WCW's first summer themed pay-per-view, that is Beach Bash 1992. This is the Central Man officially signing out. Check you later, and that's my review of the 1988 Great American Bash. I give it a thumbs up.